Hello and welcome to the Commander's Quarters. I'm your host Mitch, glad to have you here. Here at the Commander's Quarters, we're all about Commander on a budget. Today's episode is going to be a Commander quick take. On episodes like these, I give you my initial take on a newly spoiled Commander from an upcoming set. I'm going to be talking about a potential direction to take that Commander and possible cards to use for that build. This show and episodes like this one are possible because of viewers like you. So if you're looking for some easy ways to help support the show, make sure you like this episode and share it with friends. And make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. Thank you to everyone who's already purchased our merchandise, it really does help support the channel. Another easy way to support this channel is by using our TCG Player affiliate links. So make sure that you're looking for those links in the description whenever you're buying a deck or just individual cards. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support. But before we really jump into this, I just want to give a quick disclaimer. On episodes like these, they are just initial quick takes. This Commander is just as new to me as it is to you. And because of that, I don't have a finalized deck build for this Commander yet. So the direction that I choose to take this Commander today might not be the same one that I do in a deck tech. And because of that, some of the cards I'm going to mention might not be in that deck either. Alright, now that we're on the same page, let's get into it. This Commander quick take is on Kethis, the Hidden Hand. Kethis is a 3/4 Elf Advisor that costs white, black, green. It has legendary spells you cast cost 1 less to cast, and exile 2 legendary cards from your graveyard until end of turn. Each legendary card in your graveyard gains, you may play this card from your graveyard. So Kethis definitely rewards you for playing a ton of legendary cards. If those cards are in your hand, he makes it easier for you to cast them. And even if they're in your graveyard, he makes it so that you can cast them again. You will have to exile 2 legendary cards from your graveyard though to get this effect. But again, the more legendary cards that you run, the easier this is to do. So since our deck is basically going to be legendary tribal, we're going to run other cards that benefit us from legends too. Joyrus Familiar might not be a legend in itself, but it can definitely help us cast legends. In combination with our Commander, it makes legendary spells 2 less to cast. This can provide us with a lot of value and save us a ton of mana throughout the game. And then cards like Arvad the Cursed and Hero's Podium can really help pump our team. Arvad gives our other legendary creatures +2/+2, and Hero's Podium gives each legendary creature we control +1/+1 for each other legendary creature we control. And on top of that, we can even use it to grab a legendary creature off the top of our library. Getting legendary cards in our hand or our graveyard is pretty much the exact same thing for this deck. So we're going to be running cards like Gerard's Orders and Final Parting. These are both essentially tutors that go and get 2 cards, one goes into our hand and one goes into our graveyard. Gerard's Orders is limited to creatures, but we've got plenty of great creatures to get. Again, with our Commander in play, our graveyard is essentially a second hand. As long as we have 2 disposable legendary cards in there, we can use it effectively. So a card like In-Name Death Aspect can be extremely effective. When it comes into play, we can search our library for any number of spirit cards and put them directly into our graveyard. There are a ton of great legendary spirits out there in these colors. This lets us go and get every single one of them out of our deck and to put them directly into our graveyard. We can use some of them as exile fodder and others we can cast. But we're also going to be running some other ways that can help us fill up our yard when we need to. Some legendary creatures can sacrifice themselves like Hope of Girapur, and then other legendary creatures like Azoni Thousand-Eyed can act as sacrifice outlets for us. And on top of that, she really benefits off of our graveyard synergies. We're even going to be running some non-legendary sacrifice outlets like Evolutionary Leap. It essentially replaces the creature that we sacrifice with another. Being able to make sure that we have the right amount of legendaries in our graveyard is huge, because we want to make sure that we can exile 2 when we really need to. And there are some very powerful legendary sorceries that we can really abuse with this deck. Urza's Ruinous Blast is going to pretty much wipe all of our opponent's boards while leaving ours untouched. And then Primeval's Glorious Rebirth is going to bring back all of our legendary permanents from our graveyard to the battlefield. Kamal's Druidic Vow is pretty much a Genesis wave that gets our lands and legendary permanents directly into play. Being able to recast these from our graveyard can be extremely powerful. Once we're set up, it's going to be very hard for opponents to stop us with this deck. But as with any budget deck, there are always ways that we can improve on it with some reasonable upgrades. Reki, the History of Kamigawa, is a definite add to this deck. It's going to draw us a card every single time that we cast a legendary spell. And then Doom Whisperer might not be legendary, but it's extremely effective at filling our graveyard. And finally, Mindslaver is an extremely oppressive legendary artifact that we can continue to abuse. By paying 4 to tap and sacrifice it, we can control target player during their next turn. And since we can continue to recur this, it's going to be very hard for opponents to stop us. This Commander looks like a lot of fun to build around and a ton of fun to play. I think he can also be taken in a good amount of directions, so I'm excited to see how other people build him. But I really want to hear your thoughts on this take, so why don't you let me know in the comments below. And if you haven't seen my quick take on Sephara Sky's Blade, make sure that you check it out here. And make sure that you're following us on social media for more updates and sneak peeks on future episodes. Links to our social media accounts can be found in the description. Also in the description below is a link to the Commander's Quarters Patreon page, and I just want to say a quick thank you to the patrons who have subscribed so far. There are many benefits to being a patron for the Commander's Quarters, including being able to vote on future commanders for deck techs. There's even a general level tier where you get your own personalized deck tech dedicated to you. I truly couldn't do this without all of your support, so from the bottom of my heart, thank you. If you haven't already, make sure that you like and subscribe to the channel. And while you're at it, check out some of our other episodes on budget deck techs, Quest for Quarters episodes, Commander topics, and Creators Quarters. And with that, I'm out of here. Thanks again, and have a good one.